Hello beautiful souls, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Kat, and this is my space where I talk about all things spirituality, self-transformation, and of course, magic. Now, I haven't made any magic videos yet. This is like my 5th video, but please feel free to subscribe so it'll motivate me to make more videos, and eventually I'll get to the magic ones, which is my passion, and I'm super stoked to actually start doing more stuff like that. So today I want to talk about something that happened to me last summer, and I want to talk about it because it felt awful. I briefly talk about it in my Life After Ayahuasca video, which I'll link down below if you want to check it out. But this video is basically about the dark night of the soul. I want to talk about what it is, what its purpose is, as well as some symptoms that one could experience while going through this phase. If you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, well, you know, this doesn't apply to me because I'm not somebody that's working towards my spirituality like that, I think you should still hang around and listen, because right now the planet is going through a lot of different changes, which is also affecting our consciousness, and there's a lot of different energies that are being radiated into our planet. The good type of radiation, you know, like good energy. And this is having an effect on all of us, whether you are working towards, you know, your development or not. It still affects all of us. A lot of people are spontaneously waking up and being like, what the fuck about their life, you know, like what have they been doing all these past years? And that could be a brutal like waking up process. It's not fun. And there's a lot of people that are also being activated in certain ways, like remembering their past lives or crazy stuff like that. You know, and a lot of people that are being activated are also going through the symptoms of spiritual awakening, that these symptoms can feel pretty awful. I'm not gonna lie, they can feel pretty awful at times. And it's always good to know what they are, so in case you're going through something like that, you don't mistake it for, you know, an illness and you go on pharmaceuticals, because that's only going to hinder your process. So without further ado, let's get into it. The dark night of the soul is a personal development process that we all go through when we transition into a different perspective of who we are and our world and how we relate to it. So this enhanced awareness that we gain from going through this process actually comes through a really painful shedding of who we are, our beliefs. Could be relationships that we're in, family or loving relationships or friendships. It could be careers, it could be habits, it could be basically anything that you are currently doing in your life right now. The dark night of the soul is recognized in many different religions, mythologies, as well as psychology. For example, in shamanism, it's known as a descent to the underworld, whereas in psychology, it could be like a soul loss or existential crisis. For most people, it's this unbearable depression. So what is the purpose of going through such a painful experience? Well, my friends, this is growth, and I'm sure you all know by now that pain is the best teacher that we have. And through pain, we seem to grow. We seem to evolve, and we seem to kind of outgrow certain habits or certain aspects of ourselves or way of being, and we become somebody else, somebody new, somebody that will not be making the same mistakes our old self did. So the purpose of the dark night of the soul is basically to move your soul up to a higher vibration, to a new way of being. Now, why is it so painful? It's because while your soul is expanding and growing, your ego is the one that's experiencing death. Because whatever old habits and whatever old limiting beliefs, whatever fears that are dying and you're leaving behind, your ego will try so hard for you to stay the same, for you not to grow, for you to hold on to these limiting beliefs that don't serve you, for you to keep going back to toxic relationships, for you to just, you know, stay the same, because the ego does not want to evolve. It's the spirit that wants to evolve, and it will try so hard to do what it can for us to raise our consciousness. And as this is happening, you know, the soul is kind of dragging the ego behind, and the ego is putting up a fight and it's resisting. So of course we're gonna feel, and I'll get to the symptoms, but one of the major symptoms, at least for me, was depression. I felt so dark, really. I don't even know how else to explain it, but it was just like, wow, what is the point of living? I wasn't suicidal, but I did think about death a bit, and I was like, wow, death just seems like a really good vacation that I feel like I could use right now. Like, it was just that bad, you know? And it's really interesting because I was wondering where all these thoughts were coming from, because I had absolutely nothing in my life to be depressed about. Everything was going so well for me. So why was I feeling so depressed and lost and without direction? It all has to do with the ego, because the ego is trying to kind of prevent me from seeing my growth, prevent me from seeing what I'm capable of and what my potential really is. Now, why I say this is because that last year when I went through the dark night of the soul, it was very painful, and it lasted for 4 months. And I had just finished school and I had just started a new business. So of course I'm gonna have a lot of like self-doubt and a lot of fears as to like, oh my God, am I gonna make it, you know? And luckily everything turned out okay. But for those 4 months, while I was winning, the ego was kind of like stopping me from enjoying the journey and realizing that, hey, I did that, I built that, you know, and that I have so much potential, and that is not it, that I could strive for more. My soul wants to just shoot up. My ego's like, nah, bitch, you know, so it's gonna be painful. Think of it as a snake. A snake is constantly shedding its skin and becoming anew, and that is the same thing with us. The dark night of the soul can be a bit abrupt and a bit of a rude awakening. Last summer was not my first dark night of the soul, because now that I understand it, I realize that I've had maybe 2 more previous to the last summer. Now, the dark night of the soul that I experienced prior to the one last summer actually was a major wake-up call for me, because I went through some health issues, and I mean like serious health issues, that doctors couldn't help me and they had no idea what was wrong. And then when they figured it out, they were like, well, you know, we can't help you. And by the way, I was like in severe pain, and they were just feeding me like painkillers. And this happened for like 2 weeks straight. And they were just telling me, well, you know, we can't help you, and yeah, we found some cysts, but we can't remove them. And if we do remove them, we have to wait, but then we're gonna have to remove your whole like organ. And I was like, whoa, I'm not liking any of these options. So that was a major wake-up call for me. And it led me to do a whole lifestyle change. And I mean, complete 360. I used to go clubbing every weekend, and I used to drink a lot and party. I cut all of that out. I went vegan. That pretty much cleared a lot of my issues, I'm not gonna lie. If you want to hear more about my health journey and why I went vegan and what kind of health issues I had, because it's something that it's pretty common in women, just shoot me a comment below. But all to say that, okay, 360 lifestyle change, okay guys? And it even brought me closer to nature. Like, I would watch the sunset alone in the park every day and sit under my favorite tree, and like, things started changing. Like spiritually for me. So, you know, I think that was my first one, and it was a time where I felt very alone. I didn't really have friends that were supporting this new transition. All my friends were like, well, you're not coming out drinking this weekend? Like, oh, you know, and it's like, yeah, bitches, like, my health is just more important right now, you know? So I really had to set boundaries for myself and realize that, hey, these things that are not healthy for me are not doing me any good. I gotta let them go. That was a dark night of the soul that I went through, and I don't remember how long that lasted, but I even ended up moving cities. So it was like a huge transition. So now I want to talk about some of the symptoms that you could be experiencing while going through this phase. Keep in mind that everybody is different, but generally these are kind of like the common symptoms. So the first one is that perhaps you feel discontent, yet you have everything going for you in life. You know, you have a great job, you have a great relationship, you have everything you always wanted, but for some reason you're still not happy. And this could be because maybe the dark night of the soul is kind of showing you that these external things that you thought would bring you happiness, although they're making you happy now, are not going to bring you true joy. And it's going to be through your spiritual development or feeding your spirit that's actually going to bring you that genuine happiness that you're looking for. Another symptom may be feeling overwhelmingly stuck or lost. Now, I know I feel lost a lot of the times, but this is like a different kind of lost because you're no longer following that script that you had written out for yourself. And you're starting to realize that all those things that you had wanted to work towards before are kind of maybe not the right path for you. So now you're just kind of like, well, what is the right path for me? Like, what should I be working towards? And it's just this ugly feeling that, you know, keeps you kind of like in self-doubt, and you just keep trying to find your purpose, and you're just feeling even more stuck and more overwhelmed and lost. I know that sometimes there's a difference between feeling lost, and this can happen for like a few days. You know, we feel a little lost and then something happens in our life and we get happy again. But this is kind of like a feeling that doesn't go away. It's constantly with you. And no matter what you do and no matter how hard you try to find your path or your purpose, you just have this overwhelming feeling of just like, what am I doing? That feeling. Another symptom could be that you may be experiencing memories that you had forgotten. It could be traumatic memories, it could be memories from your childhood, it could be memories from, you know, past relationships. And this could be because all these emotions that you had trapped in your body are now rising to the surface for you to deal with, so that your spirit can move on, so your soul can evolve, so your soul can move forward and just leave these things behind, because they're just baggage that you're dragging along that are not serving you, and you need to let that go. So you may start experiencing dreams even, you know, of like unpleasant situations that may have happened to you that you had suppressed, and now are coming back up so that they can be dealt with. Another thing that might come up is your way of thinking, and this could be towards having radical ideas of your meaning of success. Now, success can mean different things to many different people. To some people, success is being wealthy. To some, it's just, you know, they opened their own business and they're good with that. Even if it's just like a small shop, it's something that they wanted to do when they did it, and so they feel they have succeeded. Now, you might be redefining your idea of success. Perhaps you work for a Fortune 500 company, but yet you're miserable. So at one point in your life, that was your goal, you know, to work for this huge company, be at the top, and that's where you're at now. But you're slowly coming to the realization that it doesn't bring you happiness. You know, it doesn't bring you peace. Yes, it pays the bills and all that, but that is not what your soul desires anymore. You want more. Another symptom is having ideas of dying. And this could be suicidal or not suicidal, but feeling like, and this happened to me, feeling like death is not so bad. And I mean, we shouldn't be scared of death, but whatever. But thinking that death is not so bad, you know, where like, okay, I'm ready to go right now, you can take me whenever, or just kind of being like, whatever happens, happens. It's kind of like losing that joy for life, you know what I mean? And why you start thinking about death in that matter is because it's your ego that's actually the one dying right now. It's going through that death experience, and it kind of wants to, you know how misery loves company? Well, your ego wants you to join it in its misery, and so it'll kind of like portray these feelings to you of like death and like, I just want to die right now. So these are where these feelings are coming from, and yes, that's normal. Now, these also lead to severe depression. Again, this is something that I went through, and it's a very heavy depression. Now, if this is something that is happening to you, I totally advise you, please don't take pharmaceuticals. Like, if you don't take meds already, don't start, because this is actually going to hinder your process, and it's actually going to do more harm than good as you're going through this phase. Now, as you're going through this phase, you may also have feelings of, you know, you don't quite find your place in this world. You just feel totally out of place, like you don't belong anywhere, and nobody understands you. You're just so misunderstood, and you just feel unloved. It's basically all those horrible feelings that the ego is going through right now, that it's projecting it on you, and it wants you to feel its misery. Some tips that I have for you if you're going through this is basically keep these two words in mind, and that is surrender and acceptance. Surrender. Now, why I say surrender is because if you are trying to resist these changes and these feelings, again, you are suppressing all of this, and you're kind of like letting the ego win, you know what I mean? And you're making it a lot harder for your soul, and you're making it a lot harder for yourself, because your soul is still going to strive towards evolving and rising. Therefore, it's going to try even harder, meaning that you're going to feel even worse because your ego is going to have to resist even more. So just surrender. Also journal. Keep a journal of all of your feelings so you can kind of, read back and see, even if you just write something today, read it tomorrow, and it'll just be like, wow, it really is the ego just holding me back and trying to keep me in this space that really I just need to grow out of. Now, the next thing is acceptance. Accept all the feelings, all the memories, and all of the yucky stuff that may come up while you're going through this process, because these are the things that you are going to have to let go. And you can only let go if you confront them. And I know that's not easy. I don't know if you're familiar with shadow work, but it's something like that. It's basically confronting those darker aspects of yourself in order for you to be able to release those trapped emotions so that they no longer have any hold on you. Again, keep in mind that this is part of the spiritual awakening process. Now, whether you are voluntarily and consciously working towards spiritual progress, this will eventually happen to you. And if you're not somebody that's working towards spiritual progress, this may be something that just automatically happens for you. So, just be aware of how you feel in your body and anything that comes up. So that's all I have for you on the dark night of the soul. I hope that this kind of sheds some light into what this process is and, kind of what to look for. If you have any questions, just link them down below, or you can add me on Instagram. Feel free to DM me if you're just looking to talk or you need support. I'm here for you. Love you guys, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.